beats.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is your boy Junior, aka Smoking Guns, out here in Tucson, Arizona, representing the Ultimate Fight Club, giving you the latest content in boxing and MMA news that is out. So, today's video, man, we got an update on this Daniel Jacobs Canelo fight, and Eddie Hearn, he friggin' came out, and I was actually really surprised to hear this from a dude like Eddie Hearn, but he said that he would pay for the weight penalty for Daniel Jacobs going into that Canelo fight if Daniel Jacobs happens to weigh in overweight for that second day weigh-in. And this is coming out in BoxingNews24.com, where it states, Hearn says he'll pay Jacobs' weight penalty for Canelo fight. And in this article, it goes on to state, IBF middleweight champion Daniel Jacobs' promoter Eddie Hearn says he might pay his weight penalty if he comes in over the 170-pound weight limit for the secondary weight check at 8 a.m. this Saturday for his unification fight with WBA WBC middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez. Golden Boy Promotions put in the contract that the two fighters can only gain 10 pounds from 160 pounds to 170 pounds when they rehydrate after they make weight on Friday at the weigh-in. It also goes on to state in this article, according to Jacobs, the weight penalty was initially $200,000 per pound, but it's been reduced to $100,000. So if Hearn is serious about willing to pay for Jacobs' weight penalty for the secondary weigh-in, he could be paying anywhere from $100,000 to as high as $1.5 million if the rumors are true that Jacobs rehydrated to 185 pounds for his fight against Gennady Golovkin in March 2017. If Jacobs badly misses the 10-pound rehydration limit by as a huge amount of weight, Hearn will be helping him out considerably if he pays his penalty. But the good news is that Canelo-Jacobs fight will take place regardless, and Jacobs will still have his IBF middleweight title when he steps foot inside the ring on Saturday night. As long as Jacobs make weight on Friday, he'll keep his IBF 160-pound title. The weigh-in will be at 8 a.m. on Saturday, Jacobs promoter Eddie Hearn said. We don't have to come in at 10 pounds. He can come in over 10 pounds if he wants. It's still a fight. We'll see how he feels. There's penalties. Still, if he doesn't feel like making it and he has a bit of change, or I may pay for it, you never know. He won't lose his IBF middleweight belt. He won't lose the fight, Hearn said. It also goes on to state later on in this article, I don't know that I would have gotten the fight if I hadn't accepted the terms that Golden Boy set up, Jacobs said about the 10-pound rehydration limit that limits both fighters from weighing more than 170 pounds for the secondary weigh-in at 8 a.m. on the morning of the fight on May 4th. We did this in my last fight, and I felt great. We followed the rules, and we still came into the fight at the weight we wanted to come in, Jacobs said. Later on in the article, it also states, the 10-pound rule isn't the worst thing that they could have thrown at me, Jacobs said. It was expected because when I fought Golovkin, there was this thing, which was a lie, that I came into the ring at 180, 185 pounds. And that was the reason I was able to do so well. But if you know boxing, a fighter that gains 25 pounds in less than 24 hours can't perform the way I perform. Can't move and be sharp the way that I was in the Golovkin fight. I'm here to kill that, to let the fans know that I follow the rules. I can come into a fight at a comfortable weight, and I don't need any advantages. It's just my skills, Jacobs said, quote. Now, with that being said, it is pretty cool that a dude like Eddie Hearn would be willing to pay that weight penalty if a dude like Daniel Jacobs came into that secondary weigh-in and weighed in over that 10-pound rehydration limit. Just for the simple fact is, Daniel Jacobs, he would definitely be a lot more comfortable going into that fight. And he's been very adamant about throughout his whole training camp how he's been weighing in around 174 pounds so he can be able to get used to being able to fight at that particular weight. So let's say he did come into that damn secondary weigh-in, weighing around 174 pounds. He would have to pay that $400,000 because it is $100,000 per pound. And if a dude like Eddie Hearn would be willing to pay that for him, so Daniel Jacobs would be more comfortable going into this fight, dude, that would actually friggin' be a badass thing by a promoter like Eddie Hearn, a dude who gets a lot of flack pretty much by his own doing. But at the same time, dude, that would still be cool as hell for him to do that for his fighter. And that really goes to show what a promoter is willing to do for their fighter. But at the same time, in this interview, how Daniel Jacobs said how he went into that Golovkin fight and how he wasn't trying to do that for any particular advantage, pretty much, which doesn't even make any sense. It's like, if you weren't trying to do that for any particular advantage, you would have pretty much went to that secondary weigh-in, not missing the secondary weigh-in, so you didn't have any kind of weight advantage going into that fight. But that's neither here nor there, because that was the past. This is the present. He's going into a totally different fight. And Canelo has been getting a lot of slack, just for the simple fact is he is trying to put this weight limit on a dude like Daniel Jacobs to keep him from being the bigger man in this damn fight. And a lot of people that try to give Canelo the benefit of the doubt, just for the simple fact is he has to follow that same rehydration clause also. But at the same time, the only reason he is doing that, because he already knows that he's going to be the smaller dude going into the fight if there was no kind of rehydration clause. Because technically, if there was no rehydration clause, they wouldn't have to worry about doing that secondary weigh-in, just for the simple fact is there is no secondary weigh-in that is mandatory if it's a unification match. But if it's just for the IBF title by itself, then it would be that secondary weigh-in. So with this being a unification match, there technically wouldn't even be any secondary weigh-in. And the only reason that weigh-in is being put into effect is because a dude like Canelo Alvarez put into the contract that they have that secondary weigh-in, just so he can make sure that Daniel Jacobs doesn't have any kind of weight advantage going into this fight, which he has done multiple times going into other fights, just like when he fought Rocky Fielding at 168, put a rehydration clause on his ass, and other fights where he's put rehydration clauses and rehydration limits on fighters. But with that being stated, it's super cool that you got a promoter that is willing to go out of this way, being able to pay the weight penalty if a dude like Daniel Jacobs happens not to come in at that 170-pound limit. But I guess only time is going to tell what exactly is going to happen. Will Daniel Jacobs take advantage of Eddie Hearn's words, being able to come in at a more comfortable weight, or will he come in at that 170-pound limit just to prove a point to people that it's the skills that pay the damn bills? All right, you guys. So I hope you guys like the video. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have any kind of questions, any kind of comments, hit me up in the comment section and I'll be sure to hit you guys up. All right. So I hope you like the video. Holla at your boy.